Welcome to Columbus CW News. I am Alex Stromberg, and today we have Levi Ketcher and Colin Schmitz alongside me.
Hello folks, I'm Eddie Gunslinger with Gunslinger Company, here to sell you a fine piece of weaponry for your everyday Civil War needs. Check out this fine piece of brass right here, folks. It's a Springfield 1861. It is favored by anyone wanting to live through the war because of its long range, accuracy, and reliability.
Wow, look at the brass on that one.
As tensions mount between the North and South, a new state has been added to our country, California. The state has slavery legal, but pro-slavery supporters have argued that since the state is under the Missouri Compromise line, they should make slavery legal. Pro-slavery supporters also say that the eastern part of New Mexico, which is owned by Texas, a pro-slavery state, should be slave territory. While tensions are mounting, the threat of secession is becoming more and more apparent. This just in. Henry Clay has set up another compromise to appease both pro- and anti-slavery supporters. The compromise will make California a free state, but there will be harsher fugitive slave laws as a result. Henry Clay also added popular sovereignty, which will give a state a right to vote, to decide if they will be a slave state or a free state. After an enactment of the Fugitive Slave Act, many Northerners became furious with a quote from a Northern farmer saying, "The slaves are already treated bad as it is. It is completely unfair that they are subjected to more punishment." Many reports have came in stating many Northerners have helped free slaves from the South and support the cause of a free country. We also have reports of an underground railroad that has been helping slaves escape the South. An unknown assailant has also made attempts at bringing slaves to the free states. Breaking news. There's reports coming in that Kansas is in total chaos with pro- and anti-slavery supporters attacking one another after Kansas accepted slavery into their state. As you may already know, many people flooded into Kansas from Missouri to illegally vote for slavery. Tensions finally boiled, and violence has officially erupted in the once peaceful state. Here is some breaking news for you. The Whigs are split on the idea of slavery. The Liberty Party has been formed for the purpose of pursuing the cause of abolition by passing new laws, but it received only a small percentage of votes in our 1848 presidential election. The Free Soil Party, who opposed the extension of slavery into the territories, have received 10% of the popular vote in the presidential election. Some new news for you might be that many Northerners are becoming free soilers. This is because they fear for their wages or a competition of labor with the slaves. Recently, the Republican Party has been formed due to many going against the idea of slavery. The Republicans are united in opposing the Kansas-Nebraska Act and in keeping slavery out of their territories. During the election, Republicans chose their candidate, John C. Fremont. The Democrats nominated James Buchanan of Pennsylvania. If Fremont won, the South might have succeeded then and there. However, Buchanan has won, and the threat of secession is temporarily averted. The election of James Buchanan has only caused more tension between the free and slave states. Breaking news. Dred Scott, a slave from Missouri, is arguing to the Supreme Court that since his master took him to the free states of Wisconsin and Illinois, he should be considered free. It's not looking good for Dred Scott, whose case looks like he's in turmoil. Many Northerners fear that the court is biased, as most of the justices are from the South. This just in. Lincoln has officially become our 16th President of the United States. His charismatic charm and his quick wits won him the election, even though no Southern states voted for him. Breaking news. The Southern states have officially seceded from the Union. South Carolina officially paved the way for the South to split from the North.
Breaking news. General Stonewall Jackson has been shot in the arm during the brutal Battle of Chancellorsville. I'm being told that his arm was amputated to prevent infection, but he has unfortunately passed away. More breaking news. Over 90,000 Union troops have entered Gettysburg, along with 75,000 Confederate soldiers, in a heated standoff. Hello folks, I'm Eddie Gunslinger from Gunslinger Company, here to sell you a great set of balls. With things heating up between the North and the South, every soldier is going to need these balls of steel if they want to make it to the end of the war. So come on down to Gunslinger Company today.
Here's Levi with your quick facts on the Civil War. MLG mode.
In the beginning of the war, General Lee and the South were holding back the North pretty handily. During the Battle of Chancellorsville, Stonewall Jackson was shot in the arm and had it amputated before he caused further infection. On May 10th, just 8 days after his amputation, he died of pneumonia. Lee pressed his military and began his invasion of the North. He thought a huge victory in the North would cause some political opinions to a pro-slavery standpoint. The most decisive battle of the Civil War was fought in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. After the first shots, both sides requested reinforcements. 90,000 Union troops fought, and 75,000 Confederate soldiers did too. By the second day, General Lee had driven the Union troops out of the town, but the North still held positions in Cemetery Ridge. The Confederates kept fighting and got some land, but the Union troops withheld the onslaught. Lee ordered artillery barrages for 2 hours, and all was quiet. Lee assumed the Union soldiers were giving up, so they charged to the Union lines. The Union soldiers were getting ready and fired back. The Confederate soldiers were devastated and hurt the South's morale. Lee gave up any hope of invading the North and retreated back to Virginia. 23,000 Union men died, and 28,000 Confederate soldiers also died. Even with staggering losses, the Union were enthusiastic about breaking the charm of Robert Lee's invincibility. On November 19, 1863, a ceremony was dedicated to those who died in the Gettysburg conflict. Lincoln talked for about 2 minutes but his Gettysburg address gave new hope to America. He explained that America wasn't separate nations, but one unified country. Ulysses Grant was looking to take Vicksburg, one of the last 2 strongholds of the Confederate Army in the Mississippi River. Grant tried numerous schemes to take the stronghold, but none worked till the spring of 1863. With each victory to Vicksburg, the Union started to gain more and more confidence they'll win. After numerous assaults and failures, he began to order sieges. Food supplies began to run low, so the Confederate soldiers asked Grant for terms of surrender. On July 4th, Vicksburg fell, and 5 days later, Port Hudson, Louisiana, the other stronghold in the Mississippi, fell to the Union. After the fall of the 2 strongholds, the Confederacy was losing resources quickly. The South was losing morale quickly as well. Newspapers were publicly saying the Confederacy was looking for peace options. Worse yet for the South, Lincoln finally found 2 generals to lead the Union Army. In 1864, Lincoln appointed Ulysses Grant commander of all Union armies. In return, appointed William Sherman as commander of the military division of the Mississippi. They both believed in using total war. Both men also believed they had enough men to cause enough destruction as possible. The South couldn't. In the spring of 1864, Sherman began a march southeast through Georgia to the sea, creating a path of utter destruction. In an election year, Lincoln faced tremendous pressure from opposing Democrats and people in his own party. Lincoln was pessimistic he won a second term, but news of the great victories in the South won his re-election. On April 3, 1865, the Union conquered Richmond. On April 9, 1865, in a Virginia town called Appomattox Courthouse, Lee and Grant met at a private home to discuss a Confederate surrender. Lincoln was quite generous to the rebels. After the war, many changes were taking place in America. 360,000 Union soldiers and 260,000 Confederate died in the war. The Civil War increased the federal government's power and authority. No state ever threatened a recession ever again. The Civil War was considered the first modern war. The rifle and mini ball were the greatest creations of the Civil War. Hand grenades and mines were also created. And an ironclad ship was also created. The 13th Amendment only freed the slaves in the southern states. On April 14, 1865, Lincoln was shot. He died on April 15th. John Wilkes Booth shot him. He was hidden for 12 days until he was trapped in a tobacco shed and shot dead.
Hello folks, Eddie Gunslinger here from Gunslinger Company. Today to tell you something that will make riding that much easier. Have you ever been on a crazy ride? If you have, these spurs are made just for you. These bad boys are made up of hard metal with a nice little pokey thing on the end to give your Bronco a little bit of pip in his step. So come on down and get yourself a pair today. Hello and welcome to the CW News. Breaking news, a civil war has broken out as a result of an attack on Fort Sumter at an island in Charleston Harbor. President Lincoln has come to the conclusion that he will not attempt to reinforce the fort. Instead, he is going to send food there to keep the people from going hungry. Let's go live to the event underway. Alex, what does it look like out there?
Pretty rough out here, Colin. I'm not sure I'm gonna make it. We were lucky enough to catch Major Robert Anderson for a quick interview. Major, what's it like in there?
Well, having defended Fort Sumter for 34 hours until the quarters were entirely burned, the main gates destroyed by fire, the magazines surrounded by flames, 4 barrels and 3 cartridges of powder only being available, no provisions but pork remaining, I accept the terms of evacuation and march out of the fort with colors flying and drums beating and saluting my flag with 50 guns.
Wow, that sounds very intense.
Well, believe me, it was.
Back to you, Colin. Be glad you're safe in that studio.
Believe me, I am, Alex. Stay safe. Hello and welcome all of you viewers out there. Today's segment is on the strengths and strategies of the Union and Confederate armies. Alex Romberg reporting in for us today. Alex, how's it going?
Good, Colin. So here's what I got for you. The Union and Confederates are very outmatched. The Union being the ones holding the advantage because they have more people, more factories, greater food production, and a better railroad system. However, the Confederates had the advantage of their leadership because Lincoln just hasn't found a general that he knows will get the job done.
Well, that's extremely interesting, and it gives me another perspective on the situation. Do you by any chance know exactly what the Union's plan is?
As a matter of fact, I do. The Confederate soldiers have adopted a mostly defensive plan, but the Union has devised this 3-part plan. The Navy will blockade southern ports so they can neither export cotton nor import much-needed manufactured goods. Union riverboats and armies will move down the Mississippi River and split the Confederacy in 2. And Union armies will capture the Confederate capital at Richmond, Virginia.
Well, that's some interesting stuff. Thanks for that inside look on the strategies of both sides. This just in, there has been the first bloodshed on a battlefield of the Civil War. This event happening just 3 months after the initial attack on Fort Sumter. This happened near the Creek of Bull Run, which is only 25 miles from the Union capital. We have our top reporter on the scene. Alex, tell us what's what.
The Union held the upper hand at the start of the battle, but as each hour goes by, the Confederates seem to be turning the tables under the leadership of Thomas Jackson. I was lucky enough to catch a little bit of audio on my microphone. It is a general saying, "There stands Jackson like a stone wall." That leads me to my next question. Does the newly named Stonewall Jackson have what it takes to essentially end the war right now?
That's a great question. We'll have to wait and see. Stay tuned, everyone, for more information on what is occurring during this horrible Civil War. CW News here with your latest information regarding the Civil War. President Lincoln has responded to his army's defeat at Bull Run by upping the men enlisted in his army. He has also appointed a new general to lead his men, camped near Washington, General George McClellan. While McClellan is training his men to his ways of fighting, the rest of the Union Army is working on taking control of the Mississippi River. The army out that way was attacking Tennessee, and they are being led by General Ulysses L. Grant. In 11 days, the army has captured 2 forts. Intern, what are you doing? Trying to kill me? I'm sorry, folks. We'll be right back. What the heck are you doing? And we're back, folks. I'm really sorry about that. Grant has narrowly escaped the disaster near Shiloh in Tennessee, close to the Mississippi border. Thousands of Confederate soldiers have carried out a surprise attack, but it seems Grant has averted disaster by ordering his troops to new positions. Sadly, this occurrence has demonstrated what a bloody slaughter this war is becoming. Nearly 1/4 of the 100,000 men who fought there were killed, wounded, or captured. The Union has nearly achieved its plan of splitting the Confederacy in 2, with Grant attacking on the ground and David G. Farragut attacking on the water with his 40 ships taking places over like New Orleans. Hey folks, here at CW News we are trying our hardest to keep you up to date on the Civil War. It's now a beautiful spring day of 1862, and General McClellan of the Union Army continues his push for the Confederate capital of Richmond. But he has been met by a general new to the scene, Robert Lee. Lee stands for the exact opposite of McClellan's beliefs and strategies, so this should be interesting. We have Romberg on the scene with the Union Army.
Hello everyone. Well, it seems that Lee is now attacking the Union Army in Maryland, trying to reach the capital just like McClellan tried doing to him. Wait, this just in. A Union soldier has found a letter describing Confederate plans wrapped around some cigars. The letter said that currently the two Confederate armies are split, which means it's time for McClellan to attack. I'll keep you posted.
Hey everyone, there has been a huge advance in the Civil War. The two sides are fighting on this September 17th day near Antietam Creek. This is the deadliest battle of the war thus far. There has been 26,000 deaths. The Union has chased the Confederates back to Virginia, but McClellan will not follow them, so Mr. Lincoln has now removed him from his leadership position. Many of you viewers have written into the show asking where the other countries stand on the Civil War. Well, we got Alex Romberg with your answer. Alex, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. Let's dive into it. So many people in the South thought that Britain would back them because they needed their cotton, but that isn't true because Britain stockpiled. However, Britain did need the wheat and corn of the North, but they still decided to stay neutral. I have been hearing some rumors about Lincoln wanting to make a new plan for free slaves.
Oh really? What have you read?
On this January 1st, 1863, I heard that Lincoln opposes slavery, but he feels it is not within his power to abolish it. So instead, he's going to do things that will lead to its abolishment, like ordering the army to emancipate slaves and take Confederate supplies. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You are not going to believe this, but I just got a message from the President Lincoln.
I do order and declare that all persons held as slaves within these said designated states and parts of the states are and henceforward shall be free, and that the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authorities thereof, will recognize and maintain the freedom of said persons. And I hereby enjoin upon the people so declared to be free to abstain from all violence, unless in necessary self-defense. And I recommend to them that in all cases, when allowed, they labor faithfully for reasonable wages.
I would just like to add a quick little fact for you. Both the North and the South of people in their nations that agree with the other side of Abraham has dealt forcefully with disloyalty and dissent. He suspended the right of habeas corpus, which prevents the government from holding citizens without charging them with crimes. Also, both nations have been faced with deserters, so they have had to start conscript, or in other words, have a draft.
Wow, how amazing is that? He made the proclamation about emancipation. Abraham Lincoln is truly a great guy and a blessing to our nation. Thanks for your time, Mr. Romberg.
You're welcome, Colin. Romlicious out. Peace.
Hey everyone, thanks for waking up with CW News in the morning. Here are some facts for you. African Americans make up only 1% of the North's population. 180,000 African Americans have fought for the Union, which is about 10% of the Northern Army. They serve in separate regiments commanded by white officers and earn a lower pay. These men are still being treated wrong. Even here in the North, we must figure out something. On both sides, whether the men are black or white, they are all faced with unhealthy conditions and no food. You would think that in the 1860s, people wouldn't be in these conditions while at war, but they are. Hey people, welcome to the CW News. We have an interesting tidbit about the women of the war for you today. There have been 3,000 nurses caring for the men over the course of the war. We have Mr. Romberg yet again talking about one of those women, Clara Barton.
Clara founded the American Red Cross after the war, and during the war she had to fight off disease both in herself and in her patients. Everyone has benefited from the commitment of the woman on both sides of the war.
She sounds great. What's the economy like out there?
The war has made the North gain a lot of money, and the South lose a lot of food and money, so food prices have risen 7,000%. The Unions need for supplies supported woolen mills, steel foundries, and many other industries. People aren't getting paid any better, though. When the white male workers go out on strike because of this, employers hire free blacks, immigrants, and women to replace them for lower wages. As the northern economy grows, Congress has chosen to pay for the war by collecting the first income tax.
What? I'll have to pay taxes now?
Florence here with Not Progressive Insurance. Have you been riding your pony into town only to have your saddle strap rip? When you're covered by Not Progressive Insurance, we'll replace that saddle right away. Once you're covered by us, you can ride your horse hard to the prairie. Go with us if you don't. Do not be surprised if you get bucked over.
Where's my warm milk?
We're currently live.
Sorry. Welcome back, everyone. Today we have some news for you. This is breaking news. We just found out Lincoln has been killed. Shortly after the war, he did not have time to follow through with his plans for the reconstruction of our country. However, Andrew Johnson, the man who took Lincoln's place in office, has made his own plans for the country's reconstruction. Lincoln's original plan was to pardon most Southerners and make some of them pledge their allegiance to the country again. Andrew Johnson kept this plan, mostly. Similar to this one, but changed a few things. Here we have an interview with Andrew Johnson himself.
Mr. Johnson, we hear you are making some changes to Lincoln's plan. What are these changes exactly?
Well, many of these changes are minor, but one of the most important ones is that I will try to break the planters' power by excluding high-ranking Confederates and wealthy Southern landowners from taking the oath needed for voting privileges.
Thanks for that. In other news, the 14th Amendment was recently created due to people being angered by Mr. Johnson and his actions. This amendment prevents states from denying rights and privileges to any U.S. citizen. Because people did not like what Johnson was doing, if you have not heard, they have impeached him as a result. And because Ulysses L. Grant won, the 15th Amendment was created. This stated that no one should be kept from voting no matter the race. Now, on to our next set of stories. After the war, many people in the South were left devastated because almost everything they had was destroyed in some cases. This obviously affects our economy, so people today are helping those who need help in the South with reconstruction.
What do the Southern people need?
We need help with all our reconstruction plantations and towns. We need all the help we can get.
Although everything seems to be going well, there are a few things setting us back. One of these drawbacks is the Ku Klux Klan. These are the people to fear. They go against almost everything our newly formed country believes in, and they murder people, especially blacks, almost every day. They are a huge threat to us as a nation and as individuals today.
Not only do we have people who are acting against us, there are those who simply do not want to reconstruct the country any further. With the breakdown of the Republican Party, our plans to reconstruct the South have started to fade away.
Although political violence continues in the South, the Republicans still retreat from the policies of the Reconstruction.
As a result of the war, we have many white males looking to attack black males. These men are part of the KKK. If you see a KKK member, it is important that you either catch them or call your nearest law official. Upon capture, you will receive $10. Captured KKK can be brought to any government office and you will receive your reward.
That is all we have for you tonight. Thanks for watching and remember to tune in next time.